The name Medusa evokes images of a monstrous gorgon, a creature with serpents for hair and a gaze that turns men to stone. But whispers carried on the wind tell a different story, a story where Medusa wasn't always a monstrous being. This tale unfolds in two parts, where one reveals the monstrous birth of the Gorgons, and the other explores the tragedy that befell a woman cursed by the gods. Born a monster. Unlike the narratives woven by the looms of later poets and scholars, this saga begins not with a curse, but with a birthright bestowed upon Medusa and her sisters Steno and Uriel. In the shadowy realms, at the world's edge, tales of the Gorgons, monstrous sisters with serpents for hair and eyes that turned men to stone, drifted across the sun-baked sands and into the bustling port cities. These were no ordinary creatures, born from the churning depths of the primordial sea, where chaos and creation wrestled for dominance. The Gorgons were children of primal deities, Phorcys, the embodiment of the hidden depths, and Ceto, the monstrous form of the sea's untamed fury. From their very birth, they were different. Where mortal Babis creed, theirs was a chorus of hisses. Where human hair shimmered, theirs writhed, a tangled mass of vipers eternally hungry. Even their gaze, devoid of the innocent curiosity of a newborn, held an unsettling power, a chilling glint that promised petrification. Steno, the eldest, possessed unparalleled strength, her hands capable of crushing stone and rending flesh. Uriale, the middle sister, possessed a mind as sharp as a viper's fang, anticipating prey's movements with uncanny precision. But it was Medusa, the youngest, whose very presence inspired the most terror. Her beauty, a cruel twist of fate, only served to lure unsuspecting men closer. Her eyes, the color of a stormy sea, held a captivating depth, promising a paradise that ended in a horrifying tableau. Medusa and her sisters resided in a realm where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blurred, a place whispered about by mortals in hushed tones, for to speak too loudly might invite the wrath of those who dwelled within. Here, in this untamed corner of the world, the Gorgon sisters reigned supreme, their very presence a reminder of the primal forces that lay beyond the reach of Zeus's thunderbolts and Poseidon's trident. Yet, as with all tales that echo through the corridors of time, a hero must emerge, and in the saga of Medusa, it was Perseus, son of Zeus, who stepped forth from the annals of legend. Tasked with the impossible, Perseus set out on a quest to claim the head of Medusa. To aid him in this perilous endeavor, the Pantheon bestowed upon Perseus gifts of immense power: winged sandals to traverse the heavens, a helmet from the depths of Hades to cloak him in invisibility, and a sword sharper than the sting of a scorpion, forged in the heart of Olympus itself. Yet, it was the shield, polished to a mirror's sheen, given by Athena, that would become his most crucial ally. As Perseus guided his ship through the treacherous shoals, a low, groaning sound seemed to emanate from the island itself, as if the very rock beneath his feet held a simmering discontent. Here, where the sun rarely dared to pierce the gloom, the Gorgon's lair resided, a cave rumored to be a gateway to the primordial chaos from which they were spawned. Unfazed by the ominous atmosphere, Perseus steered his vessel towards a narrow, jagged opening in the rock face. The air grew thick and stagnant, the stench of decay and something far more primal assaulting his senses. He secured the ship and waded ashore. The island was eerily silent. The only sound was the rhythmic crash of waves against the rocks and the unsettling hiss that seemed to emanate from somewhere deeper within the island. Deeper, he ventured, the cavernous opening swallowing him whole. Suddenly, a sound, a low growl that vibrated through the very rock itself. It sent a tremor through Perseus, a primal fear clawing at his insides. He gripped his sword tighter, the polished metal a cold comfort in the oppressive darkness. Then another sound, a slithering hiss, closer this time, followed by a faint rhythmic tapping. His heart hammered against his ribs. He knew with chilling certainty that he had found them. The air grew heavy, thick with a musky odor that sent shivers down his spine. With a deep breath, Perseus stepped through the opening, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. The sight that greeted him was unlike anything he had ever imagined. The cavern was vast, its ceiling lost in the shadows, its floor littered with the petrified remains of unfortunate souls who had dared to trespass before him. In the center, bathed in the strange flickering glow, stood the Gorgons. Medusa rapidly drew his gaze. Despite the monstrous serpents that replaced her hair, despite the cruel glint in her inhuman eyes, a fleeting glimpse of beauty, quickly overshadowed by the monstrous form. "Who dares disturb our domain?" her voice boomed, echoing through the cavern. It was a challenge, a prelude to the battle to come. Perseus, his purpose hardening within him, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hand. "I am Perseus," he declared, "and I have come for your head." He raised the polished shield, gifted by Athena, its surface gleaming like a reflective pool. He wouldn't risk meeting her gaze directly. He had to be precise, one clean strike to end the threat. His heart pounded in his chest, a drum beat against the oppressive silence of the cavern. With a battle cry that echoed through the chamber, Perseus lunged. He used the Hermes-gifted sandals to blur his movements, making him a near-invisible blur. Steno and Euryale roared, charging forward to defend their sister. But Perseus was too quick. He danced around their attacks, the cavern floor trembling with their every step. Keeping his eyes focused on the reflection in the shield, Perseus saw his opportunity. Medusa, momentarily distracted by the chaos around her, was open for a single, decisive blow. He lunged with a warrior's fury, his blade flashing in the dim light. A sickening squelch echoed as the bronze blade found its mark. In a single swift motion, Perseus severed the head of Medusa from her monstrous form. From the bloody wound, not only did crimson blood geyser forth, but two magnificent creatures sprang into existence. One, a majestic winged stallion with a coat the color of freshly fallen snow, soared into the sky. The other, a powerful warrior clad in golden armor, emerged with a defiant roar. These were Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, the golden-sworded warrior, born not from the womb, but from the very essence of the slain Gorgon. Steno and Euryale whipped around, their inhuman faces contorted in a mask of rage and grief. But it was too late. Perseus, his heart pounding with a mixture of triumph and revulsion, didn't linger. He knew the remaining Gorgons wouldn't rest until they avenged their fallen sister. With a desperate lunge, he grabbed a nearby tapestry, using it to shield himself from the petrifying gas emanating from the severed head. Blinded but driven by instinct, he sprinted towards the cave entrance, the Gorgons in ragged bellows echoing behind him. Thus concludes the first chapter in the tale of Medusa, a narrative not of victimhood but of inherent power, a reminder of the awe and fear that the divine can inspire. Yet, as the shadows lengthen and the pages turn, another story beckons, a tale of transformation and the cruel whims of fate. As the echoes of Medusa's legacy reverberated through the ages, a different whisper began to weave its way into the tapestry of myth, painting a starkly contrasting picture of the Gorgon's fate. This new narrative, born from the quills of later poets and the minds of philosophers, cast Medusa not as a divine creature of formidable power, but as a victim of the god's capricious nature. The priestess profaned. In the land of ancient Greece, where the whispers of gods mingled with the cries of mortals, lived Medusa, renowned for a beauty that stole the breath away. Her eyes, the color of twilight, held a captivating depth, and her hair, a cascade of raven black, flowed like a river. Medusa served faithfully in the grand temple of Athena, the fierce goddess of wisdom and war. Hers were the hands that kept the sacred flame burning, the voice that echoed hymns of praise within the hallowed halls. But fate had a cruel twist in store. Poseidon, the sea god, his heart pounding with illicit desire, entered temple, unable to control his surging emotions, lunged towards Medusa, a monstrous act within the hallowed halls. The sanctity of the temple, a place of worship and reverence, was shattered in an instant. Athena, the fierce goddess of war and wisdom, felt the violation pierce her very being. Blinded by fury at the desecration of her temple and the violation of her loyal servant, Athena unleashed a curse upon Medusa. In a heart-stopping moment, Medusa's world transformed. Her once flowing tresses, the envy of every maiden in Greece, writhed and twisted, morphing into a nest of venomous vipers. Her captivating eyes, which could melt the heart of any man, became imbued with a horrifying power. A single glance from Medusa wouldn't win hearts. It would turn any living soul into a cold, unfeeling statue. The once radiant priestess, a symbol of purity and grace, was now a grotesque creature forever marked by the consequences of an act she had no part in. Horror contorted her face as the realization of her monstrous transformation sunk in. Fearing the reflection in her own eyes, Medusa was banished to a desolate island, a solitary monument to a cruel twist of fate. The once vibrant temple maiden became a creature shrouded in fear. The island echoed with the slithering of her serpentine hair, a constant chilling reminder of her monstrous form. Whispers of the Gorgon, a monstrous being with the power to turn men to stone, spread like wildfire throughout the land. Fear gripped the hearts of mortals, painting Medusa as a harbinger of doom, a creature to be avoided at all costs. Born of a mortal woman and the powerful god Zeus, Perseus, a hero, is given the impossible task to slay the monstrous Gorgon, Medusa, whose gaze turned men to stone. Armed with the gifts of the gods, winged sandals granting him unmatched speed, a polished shield reflecting his surroundings, and a helmet of invisibility, Perseus embarked on his perilous quest. Guided by the gods, he reached the desolate island where Medusa resided. Using the mirrored shield to his advantage, Perseus navigated the rocky terrain, his movements a blur thanks to the winged sandals. In a swift and decisive maneuver, fueled by the god-given speed, Perseus severed Medusa's head with a single clean stroke. From the severed neck, a magnificent winged horse, Pegasus, sprang forth. Beside it, with a mighty roar, emerged Chrysaor, the golden-sworded warrior. Athena, the goddess whose temple had been violated, claimed Medusa's severed head. This head, imbued with its petrifying power, was incorporated into her mighty shield. A grim reminder of the consequences of unchecked rage and the violation of a sacred space. However, whispers throughout the ages hinted at a deeper truth. The true injustice may have lied not with the Gorgon's monstrous form, but with the gods' actions that had condemned an innocent woman to such a terrible fate. In the silence that follows Medusa's tale, we are left to ponder the fine line between hero and monster, victim and villain, in a story that reflects the complexities of fate and the consequences of divine whims. Medusa's dual legacy, forever etched in myth, challenges us to see beyond the surface and question the true nature of monstrosity.